a bit to go through. So I was just going to wait for Ahmad, but let me rather give a little bit of context to why we're here. And then I would really like to do a few introductions, because I don't know everyone on this call, and it's always better for collabs if we just get to know everyone a bit better. But basically the main objective from this call is to take the marketing strategy document that we've been working on for a couple of weeks, and we've been working out who our audiences are, what our general messaging needs to be to those audiences, what channels are best to use to reach those audiences. And now we're at the stage where we can start planning, like, on each channel, what, say, for instance, from June even, or from July, what we could be doing on each of those channels to start reaching a couple of numbers and metrics that we set for ourselves, to make sure that we start getting the Giveth message out. So that's really the point of this. Now, I don't know if everyone on the call has seen that document. I know that the link has gone around, and we've been referring to it on our Wednesdays calls and things. But I'll reference it. I'll go over it just before we get started. But I thought just so. Oh, great. Thanks, Lauren. So, I mean, I feel like we all know each other. I haven't met Jessie and Mynan before. Jessie, are you new to Giveth, or you been working on another department? Oh, okay, great. Awesome. Okay. Cool. Great to meet you too. Okay, awesome. And then, sorry, maybe my internet has cut out for a brief second, but let me just do a quick intro of myself. I'm Simone. I've been working with Giveth for about 2 months now, and I've got a marketing and communications background. So I've just been trying to see how I can help Giveth out and build on what has already been done over the past couple of years. And I came across Giveth because I was going down a crypto and decentralization rabbit hole. And then I thought, hey, it would be cool if donations and the industry had the same sort of transparency. And then I came across Giveth, and I was very happy to have found a platform that is already doing all of those things. So I'm very happy to be a part of it. Okay, Ahmad, you just joined us. I'm glad that the link finally worked, but we were just doing a couple of introductions, and so I was just giving an intro of myself, but and Jessie has just introduced herself, and she's just recently joined Giveth and working with Griff. And I'm going to pass to Mynan. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly.
Hi, I couldn't change my name. It's actually Yemoja. I couldn't. Yeah, thank you. Well, I've just entered Giveth Discord last week, and I'm trying to figure out how this word works, and I'm trying to learn. And that's why I'm trying to show up to some calls. When I entered the Discord, we have to choose our area of interest, and I'm interested on communications. I think I'm trying to realize how can I help. I see you guys are very how can I say a circle community. We trying to help each other, and I'm here just to try to learn and to see if I can help, if I can join this world. That's it.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Imoja. Do you want to pass to someone else quickly? We'll just do a very, very quick introduction. I know it's already quarter past.
Okay, Elizabeth.
Hi guys. Well, I'm Elizabeth. I'm in Mexico City, and yeah, I have been been attending the weekly calls now and then from the communications team, and I have been diving myself more in this crypto world, and yeah, I really like it. And I have background in communication and marketing too, so I'm seeing where I can help and yeah, propose new ideas. And I'm really interested in this call in talking about the Instagram. And yeah, I'll pass it to Lauren.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Hi, everyone. Most of you know me. I'm Lauren. I lead the comms team. I'm hoping to pass off that role, but I'm still doing it, and I lead the Give economy. I do like a lot of project management. I've been with Giveth like about a year and a half, and do many things, wear many hats. And yeah, I'm just like excited for making our message more like planned and directed rather than reactive as it has been. I'll pass to Ahmad.
All right, thanks everyone. Thanks, Lauren. Yeah, so I've been working with Giveth for the last 2.5 months. So I work with Griff and Heather on the hiring side, and I also help on the comms team. My background is in digital marketing, and I studied computer engineering, so I have like a technical background. And like over like the last 5 years, I've been doing a lot of different things. Like I started the coding bootcamp, and I run courses that teach people like digital marketing and coding and a lot of those technical topics that are like needed for the job force, but are not necessarily taught in university. So I mean, that's what I've been doing for the last like 5 years or so. And yeah, like I'm super excited to help out with the comms team. And what I love about Giveth is that it's like a combination of like very smart people working on something that has a positive impact on the world. And that what's like really gets me excited about like being a part of this team.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know who didn't go. Suga, did you go yet?
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Ahmad. Hey, everybody. I'm Suga. Know most of you, but those who don't, I'm also on the comms team and also sort of spreading out a bit more with Connect. And I'm trying to learn as I go along. I guess I've been, Ahmad, you said 2.5 months. I think you've been there 4.5 because I've already hit my 3 months. And you were there before me.
I was part-time in the beginning. Yeah.
It flies by, doesn't it? So yeah, I've been with Giveth now for I guess a bit more than 3 months, and before that I was with the Token Engineering Commons last year, the TEC. But otherwise, I'm normally in a different world. I'm a university professor of literature. I'm also a writer, but like a writer of books. So yeah, we all have so many diverse backgrounds here. I think I also had something else interesting to say, but maybe not. I guess that sums me up. I'm also a parent, so you could probably hear the Addams Family playing in the background. I'll pass it to Kotabe.
Thank you, Suga. Well, thank you. Happy to be here. My name is Dan, but my digital name is Kotabe. Basically, right now I'm working on the one side with the community team to push forward and develop a messaging and also a journey for builders and attract builders to help us build the future of giving. I'm also helping Lauren with Region Farms. Super happy with that, helping other DAOs to take the opportunity of have some liquidity mining programming with our UI and get some streaming services for their token. And I'm super interested in this because I also have some background in digital marketing for businesses, so I also want to help cater the right messaging for the right for the objectives that we want, which I think it's key to set up some objectives, which comes first and which is the most important. And I don't know, happy to be here in this call. That's it.
Great.
I'll pass it to you, Simon.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd already just done an intro, but we've really got some great skills, and I'm glad that everyone's got a background in digital marketing, communications, writing, wears many hats. So it's definitely a good foundation. So I just wanted to share my screen. Oh, my entire screen. Okay, so I'm just going to show you so this is the document that we've been working on, more for Umoja and Jesse who haven't seen it. I'll just quickly flip through it. This is a working document that sums up our communication goals, who we're speaking to, our messages, channels, the goals for each channel, and then our action points. In this meeting, we're going to be focusing on our action points and building out the plans for each of those, or at least creating the issues and doing the brainstorm around being able to create the plans a bit more, because in this session, we've only really got 40 minutes left, but even an hour wouldn't be enough to go through all of the different plans that we've got to plan for. So these are generally the goals. You can read up on this afterwards. But it's the goal of Giveth, and going through our overarching goals of just building awareness around the community, growing our donor base, and growing our base of for good projects, and then attracting builders to Giveth, which is something that Dan mentioned also, and building the visibility of the Giveth token. Our key audiences we've identified as donors for good projects, give holders, so our token holders, builders, and partners, which are like our collaborators. And our messaging, we've broken down a bit of what would go into the messaging for our donors for good projects, and then we've built out a couple of the other audiences, but these are the ones that we're going to be focusing on. We've also split it up into 101, 201, 301, which is the way that we understand the different levels of understanding maybe around crypto, decentralization, and that needs to be taken into account when we're communicating with each of these audiences. As far as we've discussed, we see that generally focusing on the 201 and 301, so people that have an idea of crypto are going to be, we're going to have more success with messaging, with creating messaging for these people to onboard, create projects. Obviously, we don't have to hold their hand and teach them exactly what crypto is. So it's important to keep that in mind when we're putting together the messaging for the channels. This is a continuation of that matrix. I suppose I can do this. Then the channels matrix. So where will we find these groups? Oh, I can't actually click. Sorry, my buttons on my computer have recently stopped working, so I can't press left and right. But here we go. So the channels that we've identified, we've put here the ones that we feel are going to be the most successful for each of these channels. But then there's also a more consolidated group of these channels that we focus on. Sorry, let me just find it because I added to the slide late last night. So in this slide, this is where we actually ended off a lot of the discussions previously, where we summarized a lot of the channels that we use and put in bold the ones that we think are going to be the most impactful to speak to each of our target markets. So we put here, I don't know if you can see it, sorry if it's a bit small, but website, newsletter, our blog, so our medium that's connected to our site, our social channels, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, and YouTube, and then the events that we hold and the talks that we do. I believe Lauren and Melody and Griff do the majority of the talks, but those are really great ways to reach out to audiences that don't know about Giveth. And then Discord, Telegram, and Reddit, we've kept as non-focuses right now because of the other priorities, and because I'm not 100% sure of exactly what the impact would be of spending time on those channels, but it's definitely something to pick up later. And then reaching out to influencers is something that is going to be a really impactful way to reach hundreds of thousands and millions of crypto users that would be able to become donors on Giveth. So from that, what I did spend a little bit of time on, so just to also give a bit of context to this document, this has been worked on by a couple of people on Giveth so far, and that's how we've gotten to this point. It's been a collective collaboration from Dan, Ahmad, Suga, Lauren. So, and please feel free when you've got this link to also go through the document and add comments and questions, because that's the only way that this working document will get even better. So in terms of the channels, what I've done is I've arranged here the start of our goals, which we can come back to later. I've already populated some of the items that we know, but for instance, with the website, which is something that we need to chat about, the Google Analytics and the numbers that we get from there aren't 100% clear. We need to establish those so that we can find out if, once we do all the rest of our marketing efforts, like social, Twitter, Instagram, and if we do any paid efforts, how is it affecting the numbers that eventually get to our website? So here is where we'll plot out all of our goals, and also assess whether it's going to be a high impact channel, medium impact, low impact, whether we should spend a lot more resources on it or not, and details of basically how we'd be able to grow, action points, and then generally what the calls to action. So whenever you see CTA, it just means calls to action, what the calls to action would be for each of the people that are on those channels.
Simon?
Yes.
I think that, I don't see that slide, but on the previous slide, we have mail and newsletter. And if you want, I can add another slide, or maybe just a couple of rows there, because on Autopilot, we have tagged some audiences. And for example, we have some, in the newsletter, we have like 200 people, but for good projects, we have, I think, Ahmad might correct me if I'm mistaken, but over 1,000 emails. And for the donors, I think it's about 400, 300 or something, between 300 and 400 donors. So I can add those if you want.
Yes, cool. I think for Autopilot, it will be important to differentiate between people that are using our platform, like ones that we're using Autopilot for attention, so to keep them knowing about what's happening on their account. That's as far as I understood Autopilot to be. They're not necessarily signed up to our newsletter. Is that right?
Yeah, no, they're not signed up to our newsletter. But if there are updates for good projects, I mean, they are sort of an audience. We should not maybe overuse it. But
yes. But yeah, we can definitely use those markets to use those groups to share information about our other channels, for example. And if they want to join our newsletter,
Yeah.
we could push them. But yeah, please add. Yeah, for sure.
And I think it's important to have them there because then we can also set goals for, so right now we have 1,000 donors, but how many do we want to have in that email category for
Yes.
in 6 months, and same for good projects.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. I think that it's worth adding that as definitely an extra row, because we need to use that tool strategically. And maybe, for instance, people that we know are recurring donors, they need to get certain information pushed to them, or we'll be able to push certain channels to them. So we just start using our community and populating our channels with the people that we know are already engaging with us. Cool. Okay, so I don't want to harp on too much about this. I know I've been chatting a lot, but I'm just trying to give a little bit of context as to where we would start, because this is a big topic. And I think that what we would need to do after this initial brainstorm is then start to create issues for each of the channels. For example, if we look at the website, we can then, if we've got people that are focusing on looking at, all right, what is the kind of path to someone becoming a donor when they land on our website? Is that path easy for them to follow? Will they, I know that on our site we've got create a project. Are there some places that we'd be able to put things more front and center? So we would need to have an issue that's created where people can get together and focus on what can we do to improve the website, to make sure that all of our marketing efforts are pushing people to the site, and then those people are going to be either becoming donors or becoming project or creating projects. That, and the same with emails or newsletter, or for autopilot, what are the content pillars going to be? What is our cadence going to be like? And the same for our blogs. What are our general content pillars? I know we've already been doing this. So what are our content? What's our content generally like, and how are we able to appeal to include other messaging to address other markets that maybe are less technical, or can we be more technical in our content? And same with Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And then also, what are hosting events? What other events should we create? We did Meet the Makers. Are there other events that we should be doing? What sort of talks at events? What sort of talks should we be looking out for? I know already there's a lot of people in Giveth that are looking out for a lot of the conferences, which is great, but maybe there's more, and if we're all on the same page, we can all look out for them. So I've basically put this into a very marketing kind of slide, and sorry that it's very like corporate in a way, because top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and bottom of the funnel is it's a good way of describing what actually happens in the process. But this is really so that it gives a view of what happens when people are going to become eventual donors or project owners. And this is how we could see, for instance, if we had to do paid ads or paid influencers or talks at external events, it kind of gets people into the top of the funnel. And then for people that already have a level of awareness about us, or perhaps they're new, but generally they're going to have a level of awareness about us to see us on social. So that's where our social channels are, our blog, our Twitter spaces, holding events. Those are all very impactful, but knowing that they're at that level versus right at the very top. Our email or newsletter being middle of the funnel, it's really engaging those people that are basically engaged with Giveth already. And then bottom of the funnel, our website, and people who are investing in our token, those are the ones that we need to get into to take that action. So if we can also see if there's people that are dropping off along the funnel, it's easier to but it's a way to kind of identify exactly where they're falling off on the funnel once we've put together our plans. So from this, I've put together just a couple of questions on each of these topics. So here we've got website, newsletter, holding Twitter spaces, blog, social talks, and influencer outreach as the main kind of topics and the plans that we'd be able to build out, so we could start actually taking action and planning, perhaps even for the next 6 months of this year. So I know that was a lot of information in one go, and I'm very happy to have separate chats about it, but it was really just to provide context of the planning that we should be doing here. So in an ideal world, if I knew how to do breakout sessions, I think that a good plan would be to even to break out and do, some people focus on looking at the questions around the website. Some people focus on looking at the newsletter. But if we're all going to be doing this together, maybe a good starting point would be looking at our content generally that we've got out there at the moment, which is our blog and our newsletter. Ahmad, I know that you have been busy with the newsletter and with the content around that. So in general, there were some content pillars that you mentioned last time, and I've added the ones that I could remember here. For instance, a featured project, platform improvements, industry news, and that sort of thing. Is there more that can be added in? Is there a plan like this? Can we create an issue so that we can get some more people working on putting that together, and it'll make your life easier?
Yeah, for sure. So I have a few thoughts on this. So my first thought is, if you look one level higher at the content, I think most of our content has been self-generated content. I mean, which is good. I mean, it's content that we want to get out there. But there's a whole side of content that we're not focusing on at all that would bring us more traffic, which is basically, what are people currently searching for? So the inbound side of it, which we're not really doing much on. So for example, how are people searching on Google if they want to donate to a crypto project? Are they searching for, I don't know, how to set up MetaMask for charity? Or are they searching for, top 10 crypto donation platforms? I mean, I'm not sure, but I mean, once we figured out what are people searching for, I mean, that should be something that we then integrate into our marketing. So then we figure out, okay, people want to find content like this, so let's make content like this, instead of just, only having content from Giveth. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the first step being just identifying the main keywords. Wasn't there an exercise that was done with the SEO in that SEO audit, and part of that process, because there was some metadata that was put in?
Yeah, I mean, we did look at that in the context of the main pages, but I think that should be an ongoing thing that we do. Basically look for what are things happening in the crypto world that we can talk about. So it doesn't necessarily have to be just keywords. It could also be, there's maybe an update to some platform, or there's something new that's happening in the crypto world that we could talk about.
Yeah.
I mean, basically thinking more from an inbound point of view.
Okay. So, for instance, if there was, if something like this was done every 2 weeks, where, because I think that once a month might be a little bit too few times to be fully relevant. But if, for instance, it was done every 2 weeks, there was just like a 15-minute chat with someone on the someone on the communications team, and you just brainstormed a couple of ideas of what you've seen on Twitter,
Yeah.
or some, and then that kind of thing helps to drive the content pillars of what would go into the newsletter and the blog articles.
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of things. I mean, of course, like there would be, like probably most of the content is still coming from us that we want to drive, but part of it would be, from that source, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And then also I probably wouldn't zoom in on the newsletter right away. I'd probably look at content as a whole, and then figure out like what are the messages that we want to get out that month, and then figure out, okay, which of them are blog posts, which of them are featured in the newsletter, which of them could be like a tweet thread, for example. So I think that looking at the channels are important, but it's just like, where do we post it? But like the main thing is the content itself.
Yeah, I agree. And I agree. I think that having I don't know if you have a content chat every 2 weeks, mm-hmm. or something, where you can brainstorm with other people on the team. But I think that would be really valuable to set up. Otherwise, it's just I think our communications calls on Wednesdays. I'm not sure what other meetings you have.
No, for sure. It could be like even like a 5-minute chat within like the weekly comms call. Like just what is our content plan this week? Then we figure out, okay, what are we adding to the newsletter? What are we tweeting about? What do we need to make pages about? So like something else that we should mm-hmm. think about also are like, what other pages could we add on the website? So either on like the docs or in the blog itself. So like one example is we might think about having project categories, right? Like which are like separate pages, which would help us rank for like a whole category of projects, for example. Mm-hmm. So like maybe there's like a special page that's only for projects that are about, I don't know, saving the environment, for example. And then there's a whole landing page that, just talks about the environment, and it's a whole page just about that. Mm-hmm. And then it has all the projects underneath it. And like that, yeah. And like, that's just one example, but
yes,
we could think about, those kind of content pieces, or yeah.
I think that planning though each week for that week is going to be, we're going to land up being in the same reactive feeling that, of needing to do things right now for that content. I was trying to see how, with staying relevant, how we would be able to plan a month in advance.
Yeah, I think what you mentioned earlier about focusing on those different types of users, and then, every month or every week or whatever, have at least one content piece for each of those groups. So, that is something that we could plan in advance. Mm-hmm. Like have one piece of content for people that are like new to the Web3 space. Have one piece of content that's focused on like the makers, and like basically just like map it out like that. Then we can start filling that in. So we have certain things that we know that we need to post every month, and then like on like the weekly basis is like just about adding things to it that we think are like more relevant for that week or that might be missing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one basically an open space for something that we can be a little bit more immediate about, as opposed to doing the whole thing immediately. Okay, cool. So in order to get this kind of content calendar going, what would help with this? Should we set up a time? I mean, I'm happy to be involved in that with you, and we can start plotting that out, and whoever wants to be involved in working out some just content ideas for the next couple of months, because we know that each month the cadence of the newsletter, it's once a month, is it?
Yeah, for the time being. I mean, if we have more content, we could make it more frequent, but yeah, at the moment it's once a month.
Yeah, so we would need basically 4 items each month, and we could have 3 of them that are more consistent and 1 of them that's going to be more reactive, that we plan out. So we know that for the end of the year, we're going to need 24 pieces, with 6 of them being ones that are going to be more reactive.
Yeah, sorry, one more thing is, like, one of the other reasons why I don't think we should focus on the newsletter first is that it is less frequent than the other channels. Like Twitter, we tweet every day. On the blog, we post multiple times a month. So I think like there's a lot more content on the other channels. So like the newsletter is more just like the highlights of the top things that we shared that month.
Yes.
But like the main like stream of things are on Twitter and the blog.
Yeah, I agree. The reason I was chatting about the newsletter and the blog first was because it's something that's going to be consistent, but also because we can use them across both. So it's serving 2 purposes. But for sure, there's more planning that's got to go into the social channels around that. But I'd say already we'd be able to draw a lot of social content from the content pillars that we also know are going to be on the other channels. So everything's got to be aligned, I'd say. So it's got to be, so if we had to focus on this as one aspect, that it can then also feed into social and our other channels. So I'm going to put that down as an action point then, that we can look into that more. For social. So I don't know if anyone has used, maybe Dan and Ahmad, you've used Buffer or Hootsuite. I don't know if anything like that is being used for social for Giveth.
No, not at the moment. We want to set it up though. I think we should.
Okay. For those who don't know, it's basically a social media scheduler, and Hootsuite, I don't know about Buffer, but Hootsuite, you're able to have 3 platforms on there for free. So we could always choose what those 3 main ones are, but at least then you're able to plan as far in advance as you want. So having the main content pillars of the newsletter and the blog does help in my mind, and everyone thinks differently about it, but because you've then got these main kind of pillars that you're going to be talking around, it might help with content that you've got to have a lot more frequently across those months. So with this, I know that Elizabeth, you had said that you've got an interest in Instagram. I know that it's not really a big focus of ours at the moment. Twitter has been growing a lot, and I don't know if there's any kind of planning that goes into that far in advance. Lauren, I know that you mostly head that up, and you're doing it in amongst a whole lot of other things. How can we help plan? How can we help you plan further in advance for that, and eventually be able to pass the reins over to someone else?
Well, I think, the way that I do the Twitter is super reactive. I mean, I wake up in the morning and then I'm like, what am I going to tweet about today? Or something. Sometimes it's like the day before somebody's like, hey, can we tweet something like this? And then in the morning I'm like, oh yeah, I was supposed to tweet that thing for this person. And that's how I do the Twitter. So It's like, but I've gotten pretty good at reacting to things in that way. And I think it actually is good to have some level of that with the Twitter. I mean, like yesterday, HoneySwap had a hack. And so I tweeted about HoneySwap hack and like told, you know, give holders not to use HoneySwap and blah, blah, blah. And that tweet got a lot of traction because it's like, it just happened, really important. And so I think like, I mean, and then there was like another day where I was going to post some tweet thread that I had drafted and blah, blah, blah. But then someone made this video of Griff like doing, you know, ETH Barcelona like song.
I saw that.
It was so cool. Amazing. Yeah, and so I like quote tweeted it with like some of the key points, and then like, you know, that got a lot of interaction as well. So it's like, I think like being reactive to what's new and hot on Twitter is important. So when I first took over the Twitter, the person who was like running it before was like, tweet every day, don't do scheduled tweets, like tweet in the morning, like what's the thing to tweet that day. So, but I think like creating, because like there are other days where there's like not exciting stuff happening like that, and then so I think like creating more content and more threads, and then like creating some kind of like maybe broader audience. But we do have this Twitter specialist we just hired, and he had an interesting point regarding like the growth of the Twitter. He was asking like what the audiences are for the Twitter, and I was kind of like, the audience I mostly write to is like the DGens, like, or like the DAO space, for good DAO space, like crypto savvy people. And so it's like, yeah, I think Kotabi made a comment in the doc saying like the Twitter audience is at least a 201 level, if not like a 301 level, which I think is totally true. And I mentioned this to the Twitter specialist, and I was like, should we expand to like hit content for like each of our different audiences, or like our audiences for Giveth throughout the week? Like, no, just write content for your audience, write content that the people who currently follow you care about. And that's like a faster way of like continuing to grow. So I think like maybe using like Facebook or like or Instagram as like hitting a different audience. So it's like we have different platforms that are catering more to more specific audiences, instead of like diluting our message on each platform to like hit like a wide range. Cause like, you know, it is a wide range of like crypto beginners to like degens who care that HoneySwap got hacked, you know, like it's really it's like a broad scope. And so like to start writing now on the Twitter, like, what is Web3? It's like, it won't really get our audience that well, you know, but Instagram is like, you know, I mean, Elizabeth is excited about talking about or maybe taking the Instagram. Like, we don't do anything on Instagram. Like, our Instagram is terrible. And I have access to it because one day a year ago, I was like, I'll do this too, but I just can't do that too. So like we could create targeted messages on Instagram that maybe is like featuring projects, and we could do kind of like project donors, something like this, and kind of like go for like the more 101, 201, 301 level. Because I use Instagram like as a you know, a girl. I use Instagram as a girl, so I have like, I know like what the feel is, and it's not really like the crypto people. They're not on Instagram. I follow some crypto accounts, but they're not really that, you know, place for it. So. But it is the place, like there are projects who use Instagram actively, who are like often tagging Giveth in their posts and stories. And I think that this is like an untapped potential for us.
I agree. I think that Instagram could be massive, but I completely agree with you that it's not necessarily the 3-on-1 market that's on Twitter. And I was initially hesitant to do different messages like that just because of our resources, but it's 100% the point. You know, we can't mix up that messaging. But Instagram, I did see, for instance, Coinbase, and there was another platform that I'm forgetting. Like the crypto accounts that are on there are massive. They've got 1-3 million followers, and I just looked at 2 or 3. So they're there, and the audience is there, but it would have to be a slightly different message. And every now and again, it could be there's been a HoneySwap attack, and some people would understand what that means. But yeah, not putting that all the time would definitely appeal to that audience. Elizabeth, what's your like experience on Instagram? Is it just something that you're quite interested in and learning more about? Can we chat further about doing a plan together with you for Instagram?
Okay, so my experience in Instagram is, well, I manage an account for a production house. So we made commercials, documentaries, and to reach like a better audience and and our clients, we showed like the project but in a behind the scenes way. So it interested a lot of movie fanatic audience or people in production, and like how do you make this scene, how do you choose the colors for the wardrobe, like a lot of stuff, and that brought a lot of interactions in our account. And for Giveth, I was thinking like an indirect approach, like yeah, like you mentioned, there are a lot of crypto accounts that I agree with you, Lauren. They aren't the best, but they got a lot of audience, like Coinbase, CoinSauce, and so on. So I think like Giveth can be like Instagram. Giveth can be like a cousin of Twitter. Like yeah, share a lot of inside content and crypto stuff. But I think it could be good to share like, for example, good news about I don't know, like special good news, like inspire people to indirectly inspire people to create a project, or like to donate, like oh my god, I have remembered that I watched that on my feed, because the feed is full of like inspiring things about activities in this project, or share our collaborators post and create like a type of magazine or newsletter, but with content from another accounts to begin with, and maybe like create our own good news, like from the projects we found, and yeah, create like a bit of FOMO about the Discord, about the web page, and make it like more visual. And I think on pro of this, that we can storage a lot of audiovisual content. We can upload like tutorials about how to install a browser wallet, and like pay publicity to that specific post, and maybe someone get curious and like, oh, what's Giveth and Web3, and oh, they actually donate. They are in like a good news page, like an indirect approach. It's just like an idea, and it saves a lot of time with content creation. Eventually we'll create our content, but yeah, we can get help from another sibling accounts, and and we can program it like with Facebook Business Suite, which is free. It's an extension of Facebook, and we can program our Instagram and Facebook post, like you said, Simone. Like the base content, we can like program like two times a week, or I don't know, and maybe get a little more. I don't know. Maybe on weekends we can share like stuff more mundane, like I don't know, recipes or how-to stuff, like fun stuff, just to engage more with the audience, and of course related to what we do. But for example, yeah, like the wallet tutorial we made, like it's crypto related, it's Giveth related, but it's also like how to videos related, and that gets a lot of audience. And it's just like an idea to start with, like courses, like activities, events, like we can share all that in Instagram.
I think it sounds good. I think that all of your ideas could work. Or just see it in a plan, and it would be really great to get everyone's ideas around it and what would work, because it's, as you say, being subtle about some things. You're building a brand of Giveth. Sorry, as my internet.
Yeah, I think we can start with like a benchmark about Instagram accounts that share our same goals and values, and like look at their followers and look at the trends and see what they are looking for in Instagram especially, and create that like that little FOMO to Discord and blog, and I want to know more, and go to Twitter. That's more like the cool stuff. But yeah, I think we can we can use Instagram and make a, can start with the benchmark for starters, like what do we want to look like, our post, and basically
and I think,
starts like
sorry, go ahead.
I'm done. I'm just,
yeah, I agree, and we can always cross promote as soon as we see one channel's doing really well. We can start cross promoting the other channels on there. If people want to get more invested in Giveth, then here's our Twitter channel. You might, some people are platform agnostic. I think if that's the term. They like to be on one platform only, but some people, go across. So we can always do that. I know we're really out of time, and that went really very quickly because I gave a lot of context in the beginning. But
we could have another session later if you want, like do it next week as well, if that's useful.
Yeah, I think so, because then, especially if it's the same group of people, we'd be able to get into it a lot quicker and go through. I mean, right now for me, my action points are we can create an issue to discuss a newsletter plan, a Twitter plan, and an Instagram plan, and to start planning from say June, maybe a little bit short notice, but maybe not in 3 weeks we'd be able to do it. No, let's be real. It'll probably be from July. Let's plan from July to have something a bit more planned out. Then we can just take a bit more time to discuss it. We keep on doing the things that we're doing until then. But then, yeah, at least gives us time to have brainstorms about it. And then in our next session, we can discuss, we can go through the other topics like the blog, how the blog houses the articles from the newsletter, but how we'd be able to do more blogs that incorporate more of the keywords that Ahmad, you were mentioning, and the relevant information there. Sorry, every now and again I hear myself echo, and it's just horrific when that happens. Yeah, so that's basically it because our time is up.
I have a small update. I was just talking to some of the guys from the dev team, and they were saying that they didn't add Google Analytics on purpose because they're against Google, like in principle.
Okay.
So they said like we should write a forum post about it, and yeah, like maybe we can look for other alternatives also. Yeah.
I remember actually like Gitcoin uses Google Analytics and all this other stuff, and somebody had posted and they're like, Gitcoin, full of spyware, total garbage. Look, Giveth is much better, only 2 bits of spyware. And then like I talked to Matteo about it, and he was like, yeah, well, we need those to like optimize like tracking and blah, blah, blah. So it's like, I think like adding analytics might upset some of our like decentralized audience,
I see. Maybe there is another way to track metrics. I mean, basically the perks of Google Analytics, it tells you where people come from. So if we can find a place to tell us that, and we can install maybe other software like Hotjar that tells you, maybe it's also going to have the same connotations with it, but it tells
Hotjar might be creepier even because they track everything. I mean, like they track like as like a video even in some cases.
Yeah, maybe there's other other software I'm happy to consider. It was really just how can we get metrics to see, okay, now we're spending a lot more time on Twitter and Instagram. We can see that people are clicking through to our website, but like what's happening after that?
No,
we can't see. Are they becoming donors? Are they becoming, what? So if there's another option.
No, I agree. I mean, I think it's really useful, but yeah, I mean, I do get their concerns also. So I guess, I mean, we can look into other alternatives, and I mean, if we don't find one, I mean, we could make a case about why we think it's important, so yeah.
Yeah, but it is a valid concern. You don't want to go against anything that goes against our principles as an organization. So for sure. Okay, so, well, I'll chat more to you about that offline because I think I'll also look for some other solutions. Okay, awesome. So I'm just going to write up a couple of these notes, and then I'll schedule same time next week if that works for everyone. Oh, it might not work for me. It might have to be a Thursday. I'll do a doodle. I'll do a doodle again.
I think next time this week or same time next week is also fine, unless like there's any strong objections. Then it
I
might
think
be-
that I might just be traveling
Oh,
back
you?
from the UK.
Oh,
Yeah.
we need you. Okay, make a doodle.
Yeah. I'll do a doodle and we'll schedule another time. It'll be just the V2 of this. But awesome.
Nice.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, if there's anything else, just
Thanks,
write it down.
everybody.
You know. Okay.
Thanks, Sam.
Everyone.
Yeah, thanks so much, Sam. This is really helpful. Thanks.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Bye,
Thank you very much.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.